They came in their hundreds to prove they belong. 3 have defied all odds. 3 have surpassed the masses.
Winning an EPT in Europe, that is definitely the most prestigious thing to do.
3 strive to attain the unthinkable.
I really want the title more than anything.
Championships unite their pasts. Now they share the dream of making history by winning a second EPT.
Nobody's done it before.
Can one of them duplicate his success, or will they all be trumped? Who will rise? Who will fall? 24 remain as the penultimate day of EPT Berlin begins. Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. 745 players came to Germany for the PokerStars.com EPT Berlin from the Grand Hyatt, hosted by the Spielbank Berlin. Now, only 3% remain, as the field is reduced to 3 tables. Each player is looking to bag the first place prize of €825,000. On day 1, players had only one thought in their minds: stay alive. Day 2 saw some of the biggest names in the game find the rail, while others thrived. On day 3, we saw 2 heavyweights tangle, a Canadian soared to the summit, a new chip leader emerged, and 3 ended the day believing the trophy could be theirs again. As day 4 gets underway, one goal is in sight: to make history. Table 3 boasts EPT6 Copenhagen champion Anton Wigg, shooting for his second title.
I enter every tournament to try to win. But like I said, being a 2-time champion would obviously be amazing.
Sitting directly behind Wigg is Vladimir Geshkenbein, winner of EPT7 Snowfest.
I'm heading for the first place, obviously. I'm not going to knit up before the final table just to make it.
And a third prospect remains. At the feature table is Kevin MacPhee, who's not only looking to make the history books by winning his second title, but by doing it in the same city.
This is where it all started for me. This is where I made myself known as a live poker player, and to get the opportunity to potentially do it here again would be unbelievable.
The heavyweights will defend their turf, but others are ready for a fight, such as 2-time EPT final tableist Andrew Chen, sitting at McPhee's table looking to steal his Berlin crown. Dreams look to become reality, as only 8 are able to take one of the coveted spots at the final table. The fight to the finish begins now. The players taking their seats are 3 former champions at 3 separate tables. Cards in the air in just moments.
I mentioned Kevin MacPhee was a little tilted yesterday, slightly irritated at the pace of play at the feature table. Just because you're on TV doesn't mean you got a Hollywood, people.
6 countries represented at today's feature table. Andrew Chen is the table chip leader. At the opposite end of the spectrum is Jeffrey Hakim. Should point out that Kevin MacPhee's also got some work to do, with the blinds at 8-16 with a 2K ante.
The average stack is 58 big blinds, so don't expect these guys to sit around waiting to cold deck each other. Not the big boys, at least. It's about to get real in here.
Action has been folded around to Mario Puccini. Been one of the chip leaders for most of the tournament. Not going to play this hand. A short stack Jeffrey Hakim has junk. Cesar Garcia.
The hammer.
Folds it. So folded to McPhee on the button. Queen 9 of hearts.
Unopened on the button. A very obvious raise.
Makes it 32,000 to play. Eric Vuiso, seemingly with a decision in the small blind. He decides to fold. Andrew Chen in the big blind, 8-4 of hearts.
Well, if Andrew's thinking about this, it's because he knows Kevin could very well have opened any 2 cards on the button, but if he plays the hand, he certainly won't be flatting with it.
The yellow chips are worth 25,000 each. It's a 3-bet to 75K.
Kevin's got a hand he could easily call with in position if he likes.
And Kevin does call.
Things will get interesting if we put a couple of hearts out there.
Well, let's see our first flop of the day. King 5-3, 2 clubs, only 1 heart.
I expect to see a C-bet here most of the time.
Andrew Chen makes it 60,000.
Now with his stack, Kevin's really only got 2 choices here. Fold or bluff shove all in.
He elects to fold.
Maybe too good.
Sure, Kevin laid down the best hand, but that was definitely the better of the 2 options.
Andrew Chen adds 97,000 chips to his stack. He's now got roughly double the tournament average, whereas Kevin MacPhee has about a third of the tournament average.
Double is better than a third.
Well, we've already lost our first 2 players of the day, but Anton Wigg is still alive, as is our other former champion, Vladimir Geshkenbein. Let's hear from a man who knows about winning.
Pretty cool, yeah, 3 champions left. I mean, I'm sure all those guys, they know what to do if they want to make the final table and after that win it. So I guess there's a little more pressure on them, but again, they have the experience, so it's going to be a lot easier, I think, for them to go through that day. Really important day for them.
Sure, he's won the WSOP or whatever that is, but he's never won an EPT, am I right?
True. Back to the feature table. It's been folded around to Andrew Chen in the small blind. He's got Queen-Jack offsuit.
Small to big, you're raising this all day.
Makes it 40,000. Daniel Pidden has Queen 10.
Oh, this could get interesting. Even though we know he's dominated, calling here is just fine. It's almost too strong of a hand to 3-bet.
And the German decides he will call, and we will go to the flop. Well, that flop is 10 high. Pidden takes the lead.
Pidden hits the 3-outer, now has Chen reverse dominated. Chen out of position, but you'd expect him to continue.
He doesn't, he checks.
Well, the door's open for Pidden to start betting for value.
It's a bet of 56,000.
Andrew Chen not going anywhere.
He does have a gut shot and a backdoor diamond draw and 2 overcards to the board.
But even still, if this is a raise, this would be weird.
It is a raise to 155,000.
I don't think Andrew would check raise his flop with many hands that are actually good, so I'm not sure why he'd do it as a bluff. It might come across looking exactly like what it is. Hey, I just bluffed you with a post-flop check raise. Here's my bet size. Call me maybe.
Pidden does call.
Gotta wonder if getting called there is gonna shut him down.
4 hearts on the turn.
Chen's still got nothing.
I'm all in.
And he shoves.
Well, that's not shutting it down now, is it? The kiddie game is down the street. Andrew Chen came here to play.
Putting the pressure on Pidden, asking him to call off his tournament with top pair.
I think a lot of players are going to snap call here at top pair, but we're talking about your tournament life, and no one wants to go broke on TV with just 1 pair. I think Andrew's doing an amazing job of exploiting that against a less experienced player. Mean.
Daniel Pidden folds.
I hope this hand doesn't make it to the German broadcast because Andrew Chen just totally drank your milkshake.
And adds 209,000 chips to his stack.
Good lay down, man. Good lay down.
Now sitting on 2.3 million. Let's head to one of our 2 outer tables. Mark Wright in a pot against Heinz Komitzki. Wright has checked the river. Komitzki going for chips. He bets 186,000. That's less than half the pot.
But if Mark Wright makes his call and he's wrong, he'll no longer be the chip leader, and he's probably going to need to take those antacids. A bet this small could either be an annoying value bet or a busted draw.
And he makes the call. Komitzki shows ace-10. He's got trips.
That's going to be good.
Mark Wright drops down to nearly 2.3 million. Still double the tournament average. Komitzki now on an average stack But as you observed, Joe, by making that call, Mark Wright has lost the tournament chip lead. That honor now belongs to Andrew Chen. Andre Murat is the highest ranked local. The other German players in the top 10, Mario Puccini and Heinz Komutsky. Well, Cesar Garcia has been amongst the tournament chip leaders for some time. Action's been folded to him at the feature table. He's in the small blind with Jack-9 off.
This might seem like an obligatory raise small to big, but you can actually limp this a lot. It plays fine post-flop, and with Kevin's short stack, there are tons of garbage hands he can just shove on you, and you can't call with.
He raises to 45,000. Kevin's picked up an ace in the big blind, ace-3.
Here it comes.
All in.
He shoves.
Whoops.
And Garcia will fold. So Mcphee takes that one down and stays alive. 22 remain here at EPT Berlin. Welcome back to the European Poker Tour from Berlin. During the break, Jeffrey Hartigan was eliminated by Daniel Pidden in 22nd place. David Kahan was knocked out by Vladimir Geshkenbein in 21st, and Davide Katai took out Andreas Vlachos to bring us down to 19 players.
Guys, I'm sorry, we missed those 3 eliminations. Totally my bad. I had some bad Thai food last night, had to step out of the booth for a hot minute. Won't happen again. Ugh.
Serious overshare, far too much information. Back to the action. When we see Mark Wright 3-bet coming over the top of Heinz Komutsky's opening raise. Bahadir Killer made the initial call. How's he going to react to this 3-bet?
Last time I called this man a button clicker, but I should be clear, he's not clicking the fold button.
He makes the call. He will play the flop out of position. And that flop is King 8-9 with 2 diamonds. Killer checks.
Here comes the C-bet.
335,000 in the middle. And Mark Wright bets 206,000.
I'm all in.
Killer shoves.
I mean, I have to call.
Mark Wright calls.
He has to call, it's science.
He has ace-king, and look at that. Killer flopped a set of 8s.
Now he's clap-a-Kaiser.
No ace.
Really?
It's the king he should be worried about.
Well, that's what you get. Now there's a sweat.
It's always a sweat.
Them's the rules. 4 outs for Mark Wright, a 3 on the river sees Bahadir Killer double up and become the new tournament chip leader. 2.9 million.
Very unfortunate turn of events for Mark Wright. The important thing now is to hang on mentally. Seriously. What is Killer doing? Is he still going? Looks like he's holding court.
Let's head back to our feature table. Blinds currently 10,000 and 20,000 with a 3,000 ante. Action is on Mario Puccini. He folds. Cesar Garcia gets out of the way. Kevin MacPhee, ace-deuce of diamonds.
A hand like ace-deuce suited is actually more versatile than, say, an ace-6 or an ace-7 because you can also make a straight with it.
Kevin raises to 40,000. Gets folds from everyone bar the big blind. And in the big blind, with pocket 10s, is Jordi Riba-Corons.
This could go either way. You almost don't want to 3-bet someone who opens as wide as Kevin with a hand this good. Just call and let him fire away.
Call.
Jordi makes the call. Let's see a flop. Jack, 5, Jack.
Pretty good flop for 2 10s.
Jordi checks. Kevin fires, 40,000.
Story checking out so far.
Call.
Jordi calls.
Cowboy face.
4 of diamonds on the turn. McPhee picks up a straight flush draw.
Lots of outs now for McPhee.
Jordi checks a second time.
Kevin, we're going to shut down before he certainly can't now.
Makes it 80,000 on the turn.
Again, this is a spot for a just call. You're never folding out a better hand, and you're only getting called by winning hands or hands with decent or better equity, like this one over here.
I don't think he can hear you.
Raise.
He raises to 175,000.
Okay, Yordi's actually somehow raised at the best possible bad time. Kevin does not have him beat, but he also cannot fold.
He'll put in the additional 95,000. 541,000 in the middle. Kevin the effective stack with 282 behind. Another 4 on the river.
Big whiff for Kevin. I'm not sure how Yordi can raise the turn and not bet here.
He checks.
Yordi's played this hand very strangely.
Well, looks like he's induced a bluff shove from McPhee.
Yordi's acting like he's got some sort of decision, which I guess technically he does, but nothing about this board has really changed since his check raise on the turn. So he's either value betting or bluffing, which means this should either be a pretty easy call or an easy fold. I think he was value betting, but I guess even he didn't know.
Call.
He makes the call.
Kevin knows that can't be good.
And Kevin MacPhee will be out. Kevin MacPhee busts in 19th place.
We'll play it. Should have shoved the turn, I guess.
Better option?
Game, guys.
Get there on the river.
A painful exit for the man who won this tournament 2 years ago. Yordi played that hand unconventionally, but it worked out for him. Kevin MacPhee made the final table of San Remo this season. He had a deep run in Madrid, he had a deep run here in Berlin, but there will be no second title for the American. Yordi now above average in chips.
Shake it off, man. You're in Germany. At least there's beer.
Vladimir Killer-Kaiser is back in action. He opened with a raise to 50,000. 3-bet by Wettermans. Killer-Kaiser makes the call. They go to the flop, and Wettermans looks like he wants to continue. 87,000. Killer-Kaiser shoves. Wettermans calls. Kings against ace-7 of diamonds.
Killer-Kaiser hit this flop oh so hard. He's got more outs than a tennis match.
Ace or diamond, ace or diamond.
Or a 7. The river is the king of diamonds. A set for Wettermans, the nut flush for Killer-Kaiser.
Let it be known, you don't need to know what your outs are in order to win the hand.
Where did this guy come from?
Killer-Kaiser is killing dreams over here.
The monster chip leader playing in his first ever EPT. And when he's not at the poker table, he's on the pitch, playing in the 6th highest football league in Germany.
Meine schönste Geschichte war, dass ich mit Pius Heinz an einem Tisch saß und ihn leider vom Tisch nehmen musste. Mit meinen Pocket-Königen gegen seine Queens, mit einem Spieler zusammen gegen seine Asse habe ich Set-Könige gefloppt und auf dem River meine Quads bekommen.
Ja, geschickte Stricktig.
Action here is on Pratush Badiga. He's just been 3-bet by Vladimir Geshkenbein. And Badiga will 4-bet to 223k. Geshkenbein will 5-bet to 450k. Do you reckon either of them has a better hand than 8 high?
I bet one of them has a better hand than 8 high.
All in.
I guess it's Pratush because he's just shoved. And Geshkenbein insta-folds. Maybe he had 7 high.
We've seen Pratush in a few of these click-it-back wars, and every time he's come out the victor.
Pratush Badiga now with 2 million, meaning he is second on the leaderboard. Vladimir Killer-Kaiser still the tournament chip leader with 17 players remaining. Vladimir Geshkenbein is still on the leaderboard. Anton Wigg is not in the top 10. And of course, we just lost our other former EPT champion.
Well, I came in pretty short stacks, and I was looking to just try to play conservatively and try to look for spots to re-raise people all in, and hope to spin up a stack, and I didn't, so it's just the way it happens.
I guess it's time to take Cowboy Face out to pasture.
Back to Pratush Badiga's table. He's playing post-flop against Davide Katai. 8-5-4 on board with 2 clubs. Bodiga is betting. 62,000.
It's a pretty wet board out there.
Davide Katai calls. Turn brings the jack of diamonds.
Shouldn't have changed much. See if Bodiga keeps the pressure on.
Loading up. Fires the second barrel, 106,000. And once again, Katai calls. Only $500,000 in the middle. The 7 of hearts on the river.
Well, that may have changed some things. 4 cards to a straight out there now.
Bodiga now checks. He slowed down. And Katai bets.
The call lead when the straight card hits looks awfully strong.
And 224,000 gets the job done. Bodiga folds. Katai adds nearly $250,000 to his stack.
Oh, I could almost see one of those as he was mucking him. It had some white on it and maybe some black or red.
Whatever we're paying you, it's too much.
Agreed.
Back to the feature table.
You should come check out my yacht this weekend.
Blinds 12-24 with a 3K ante. Post flop, it's Cesar Garcia against Eric Vuiso. Garcia betting 64,000. Vuiso has flopped top pair with a strong kicker.
Garcia obviously keeping up some pre-flop aggression. Seems like a pretty easy call for Vuiso to me.
Yeah.
He will call. Go to the turn. 7 of spades. Garcia picks up a flush draw. He checks.
Kind of like a double barrel in that spot. Sometimes you take it down, sometimes you get called and hit your hand.
Vuiso bets 100,000. Garcia check raises to 265,000.
Oh, he was check raising. Yeah, not a huge fan of check raising in spots where it's impossible to rep anything good enough to check raise with. That's just me.
Vuiso calls.
A troubling, but again, fairly easy call to make.
And the river is a spade. Garcia gets there.
And now he's a rock star.
Unbelievable. Runner, spades. Vuiso was a 93% favorite on the flop.
Now he's a 0% dog.
Garcia value bets to the tune of 425,000.
Gonna be really tough for Vuiso to get away from this. Garcia's not supposed to have anything here.
Call.
He calls.
That's gonna leave a mark.
He just lost a huge chunk of his stack. He's down to 647,000. Garcia up over 2 million in chips.
Vuiso didn't see the runner 6 high flush coming. Fish. Hey James, I guess these are the salad days for Cesar Garcia, huh?
Now you're earning your money. If you want to play in an EPT event, go to PokerStars.com, where there are qualifiers every day. We're back as the PokerStars.com EPT Berlin continues to whittle down to the final 8. During the break, Daniel Pidden was eliminated by Jordi Riba-Corons in 17th place, and Anton Wigg helped Dmitry Grinyenko find the exit. So we're left with just 2 tables. Let's look at how the final 15 stack up. Well, the short stacks are Florian Donert and Anton Wigg. The other previous EPT champion, Vladimir Geshkenbein, is in better shape with a 67 big blind stack. If we look at the top half of the leaderboard, we find the likes of Andrew Chen, Mark Wright, and Davide Katai. Pratush Bodiga second in chips, and although he slipped a bit, Bahadir Kilakeza is still the overwhelming chip leader. Suffice to say, a few new faces at our feature table, including Kilakeza.
Kilakezer's a new face to poker. He works as an importer-exporter, like Art Vandelay.
Ace-King for Cesar Garcia in the hijack. Line still 12-24. He raises to 50,000. Vladimir Geshkenbein is in the cutoff with 6-7 suited.
This stage of the tournament, if you're gonna play hands like this, better to 3-bet with them.
He makes it 125,000.
Helps keep the pot from going multi-ways, and it's a hand that doesn't flop very good one-pair hands.
Action on Killer Kaiser in the big blind.
Now Bahadir Killer Kaiser could make any pot become multi-way.
He lets it go.
For once.
Back on Garcia.
Can't fault Garcia at all for 4-betting here. Geshkenbein's pretty live.
He does 4-bet. He raises to 305,000. And Geshkenbein will call. He does have the advantage of position.
The call is questionable, but in position, it's I-8, I guess.
Flop doesn't really hit either of them. Garcia's ace-high still good. He does have a gut shot.
Really bad flop for Garcia's hand. Still, he's likely compelled to continue.
And he does. 310,000.
Garcia knows he's going to get called in this spot pretty often, and sometimes he'll even get shoved on, but checking and giving up the lead is just way too weak. See if Vladdy wants to play back at him.
He doesn't. Geshkenbein makes a rare fold.
Don't those sunglasses make him look like one of the aliens from V?
Well, he's just joined our feature table, and now he's leaving. We have to balance the outer table, so wave goodbye to Vladimir Geshkenbein.
Oh, I thought he just got voted off the island.
The reason for that balancing is that we just lost Florian Donor. Cesar Garcia, meanwhile, is up to 2.2 million in chips. Now, this law student is currently ranked the #1 online tournament player in Spain.
Cesar said he started playing poker after seeing the EPT on television. We're making a difference, James. A real difference.
Being the first Spanish player to win that tournament will be amazing because it's like a dream for me, and bring the prize to Spain will be like wonderful.
#1 online tournament player in Spain. Has this guy never heard of Juan Manuel Pastor? I demand a recount.
Champ on champ action. Geshkenbein opened. Wigg 3-bet.
All in.
Geshkenbein shoves. Wigg calls.
Well, I have some odds. What can I do with my king? Yeah, I mean, it has to be a bluff.
I would agree. If you're getting snap called by ace-queen, maybe it wasn't the best shove with king 5.
He has 36% equity. And there's a 5 on the flop. Unfortunately, there's also a queen.
Anton looking pretty good.
Oh!
You make a good call, get it in good, and then the poker gods stick it right up your Geshkenbein.
We're about to lose Anton Wigg. Another former EPT champion in the hunt for his second title hits the rail.
I think I can qualify for the most suckouts in one EPT medal.
I don't know a player alive who wouldn't want that award, honestly.
Anton Wigg exits in 14th. Geshkenbein is the last remaining champ.
Now you know, don't push me around, okay? I'll just put it in. I don't know, I'll count later.
I'm happy about the results, but I'm really unhappy about, I'm in here, I'm playing every tournament to win, and I get so close a couple times. It's obviously really disappointing.
I do feel bad for Anton, but I would like to remind him that he still gets to go home really, 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 really good looking.
2 more exits to tell you about. Heinz Komutsky, gone. Thomas Jabak, busto.
Both also very good looking.
Action is on Bahadir Killer Kaiser. He raises under the gun with King Jack suited. Blinds are now 15 and 30,000, so this is just over a min raise.
You've got a suited queen in position, short-handed, so whatevs, but I'm not really a huge fan of 3-betting Killer Kaiser with nonsense.
And that's exactly what Cesar Garcia does. Makes it 156,000.
You might as well 3-bet him with a hand you want to get called with.
9-10 offsuit for Andrew Chen in the big blind.
Don't imagine Andrew would get involved here.
Imagine again, Joe Stapleton.
Looks like this hand is full of button clickers.
A cold 4-bet to 325,000.
Killer Kaiser, the clicker, has just become the click-E. We know a shove would likely get it done, but that takes a lot of chutzpah, and for all intents, he shouldn't have the best hand here very often.
He folds.
Even less of a shot that Garcia fires back. Andrew Chen is typically way too solid.
Is he contemplating a 5-bet? No, he's folding. And Andrew Chen takes it down.
Nice hand.
You fold?
Yeah, I have something, but...
Show your cards, my friend. No show.
I was bluffing. I can't show that one.
I bet that you don't have
too much.
Andrew Chen has been very aggressive today. Very aggressive.
Kid's got alligator blood and is still amongst the tournament chip leaders. Chen and Killer Kaiser are in the blinds. Bocchini under the gun. He folds. As does Garcia. Wiso gives up the button. Andrew Chen with kings in the small blind.
Not only has Andrew been super aggro today, but he'll also be raising into Killer Kaiser's big blind, so there's a good chance he'll get some action here, especially if Killer Kaiser has any sort of hand.
Makes it 85,000. Killer Kaiser with Queen 10 off suit immediately reaches for calling chips.
He also might be considering a 3-bet, but calling is probably the play here most of the time.
Call.
He does call.
Andrew Chen, the considerable favorite heading into this flop.
The flop, Queen Jack 9. This is very similar to a hand at the end of day 3 when Chen had kings and Killer Kaiser flopped a straight. This time he flops a straight draw and top pair. Chen bets 100,000.
The money would probably go in right now if these two weren't so deep.
Killer Kaiser raises to 250,000.
Raising's pretty risky here unless you're trying to get it in, which seems really unnecessary. Either your opponent's going to fold or you're going to play a huge pot with a guy who can severely damage your stack. Chen obviously cannot fold.
He calls. And we go to the turn. 690,000 in the middle. 5 of spades on the turn changes nothing.
Chen likely on the defensive now.
He checks.
Now, after raising the flop, you kind of have to bet the turn. It'll get you a free showdown or a bigger river if you improve.
He doesn't bet. He checks behind.
All right.
And the 5 of clubs on the river.
Killer Kaiser really did have kings beat on the flop. He's done a poor job of getting any value from it. So I would expect Andrew to think his hand is good.
Chen bets 423,000.
For Killer Kaiser, this is definitely a just call. He's played this hand so weird. Andrew could be value betting worse.
How much?
423.
I call.
You heard the man. He calls.
Clicker Kaiser finally caught the short end of the click.
Kings are good.
200.
Andrew Chen's been on the warpath today. His graph probably looks like an advert for Viagra.
Nice hand.
Thank you.
Well, Bahadur Killer Kaiser is still the tournament chip leader, but he made a healthy donation there to the Andrew Chen fund. The Canadian is moving towards the 3 million chip mark and his 3rd EPT final table.
I'm Andrew Chen, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, I first got into poker sometime in 2007, I guess. A friend of mine was making, maybe like $1,000 a day back then, which was obviously like amazing. So when I started playing poker, I was actually in the first year of my undergrad, which was studying biochemistry. So I did 2 years of that program, and by the 3rd year, I guess I was a little optimistic and decided I would, give it a shot. My first EPT in 2008, it was in Prague, and I've been playing a few each year since then, so I've probably played, I want to say, between 10 and 15 EPTs, yeah. I've been fortunate enough to do pretty well at these EPT events. I've final tabled 2 of them. One was the first one in Prague, and 2 years ago, the 2010 Grand Final in Monaco. I guess the most memorable experience for me on the EPT so far would have been my first final table, just mainly because I was pretty new and it was just really, really exciting. The environment was great, and yeah, it was a lot of money. I've had a couple of close calls on EPT final tables before, so yeah, being able to final table this one and perhaps take it down would be great.
Andrew Chen has had more close calls on the EPT than the number of women I've been with.
2 close calls.
Yeah, that's good, right?
For him. Vladimir Geshkenbein has gone to the flop against Pratush Budiga. Budiga bet 133k, Geshkenbein's raised.
470.
And Budiga now 3 bets to 470,000.
This is a pretty small 3-bet. Last time Geshkenbein got a little antsy in the pants, he got snapped off by Anton Wigg, but ended up sucking out on him.
Geshkenbein shoves. Budiga calls.
Snappity snap.
Budiga has ace-king. Geshkenbein also has a king. King-jack.
Cooler alert. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
What? Nice flop. Nice flop. You don't have him covered, do you? I don't think so. I have like 1.4. Close to it.
Geshkenbein has been known to suck out on his opponents. He's picked up a flush draw.
And just almost quadrupled his outs.
The river.
We already gave him a suck out medal. Will we have to send it back to the engravers?
Is an ace, a full house for Budiga.
Budiga did not have him covered, but he's got only about 10 Geshken big blinds left.
Budiga's up to nearly 3 million in chips, but Vladimir Geshkenbein, our last two-time hopeful, a player who's been a huge force throughout this tournament, has been crippled. Can he bounce back? Use the hashtag EPT Berlin. It's the PokerStars.com EPT Berlin. As the sun sets in the German capital, 13 remain in the field. Before the break, Vladimir Geshkenbein doubled up Pratush Budiga in a huge pot. And as we rejoin the action, they're at it again.
Well, we all knew this was coming.
Geshkenbein all in with Queen 9. Budiga's called with 8s. They are racing. Well, that's a good flop for Queen 9 of clubs.
Heck of a flop.
Oh, just wait. Somebody folded an 8?
And it's all over on the turn.
Now you can count.
So Geshkenbein gets a much-needed double up. He's still short, just not as short. He took 429,000 chips off Budiga.
Not a huge BLOW to Pratush Budiga's STACK.
I guess I'm sort of semi-famous in a bad way, not a bad way, but I guess I'm semi-famous because I won the National Spelling Bee. Someone won it for $12,000, then I decided I wanted to win it, and so I started studying as hard as I could, and then 2 years later I won it in the USA in 2002. It just went from spelling to other competitions, and eventually I found poker. I think the biggest thing about spelling was just I had a tremendous work ethic for it. I put in a lot of hours for it, and it sort of proved to me that I can do almost anything that I really want to if I try hard enough, and that's what's kept me going in poker. Maybe if this works out well, I could be famous for something else.
I think poker is the obvious choice for fame. Less letters to memorize, way more cash. But if it's girls you're after, try sports.
Back at our feature table, Wiso raised and called Chen's 3-bet out of position. We're going heads up to the flop. Oh, bye, Wiso.
Well, if this board texture doesn't change at all, this should be a very easy check call all the way to showdown, even though Wiso is behind.
Wow.
Call.
He shoves the flop, Andrew Chen snap calls, and Wiso's gonna need an ace or a jack.
You got called, flip him over. This is somewhat of a cooler, though. I kind of hate the open shove on the flop in a 3-bet pot. You're not very often getting called when you're ahead, and always getting called when you're not.
Some justice, maybe. Just please.
Well, that's a justice-y turn.
Wiso has 4 outs.
And a justice-y river.
Eric Wiso exits in 11th place, and Andrew Chen takes the tournament chip lead.
What a sweetie this Wiso is. Moves the chips over and everything. Seriously, though, time to go now.
He'll collect 38,000 euros.
Well, he's just clinging to that TV table. Killer Kazer's telling him how much he loved the open shove.
Let's head to the outer table. Mark Wright's open with a raise to 85,000. Davide Kataya's 3-bet to 210,000. Actions on Vladimir Geshkenbein.
Who's built himself back up again from 10 big blinds.
He 4-bets to 475,000. Mark Wright folds. Katai shoves. Geshkenbein calls. Queens for Katai. He's the player at risk. Geshkenbein has ace-jack.
How is Geshkenbein not all in? He had 10 big blinds a second ago.
He has about 100,000 behind.
Well, his hand's not in terrible shape.
It is now.
Well, this is another semi-cooler. Neither of these guys had that many chips, and they were short-handed.
Oh, that gives Geshkenbein some hope.
He can hit a king or a 9 to make a straight.
The river. An ace, too little too late.
Time for somebody to say something about a chip in a chair, but I forget how that saying goes.
Davide Katai firmly amongst the tournament chip leaders with a stack of 3.1 million.
Well, the good news is that Vlad's still got 20 or so chips, that is.
He's on the button here. Katai's raised to 85,000. And having looked at one card, Geshkenbein moves all in. Bodiga folds. Mark right in the big blind. Will also fold. Katai obviously calls.
He could have folded for 15,000.
Katai shows king 10. Geshkenbein has ace. Queen.
Not bad.
He's ahead.
Good news, he's in good shape. Bad news, he can only double up to about 7 big blinds.
There's a 10 on the flop.
Worst news, that flop.
I hope there's vodka in that drink.
Get off the phone, brah. Talk to us.
Vladimir Geshkenbein dead to an ace or a queen. It's a 5 on the river. We lose our last former EPT champion. There will be no double win here at EPT Berlin.
James, who do you think will be the final table bubble? I'm going with Kevin MacPhee. And there goes Vladimir Geshkenbizzle. We hardly knew ye.
So we'll have a new winner here in Germany. Let's have a look at the final 9. Bahadur Killer Kaiser has retaken the chip lead with 4.5 million. At the opposite end of the leaderboard, Jordi Ribacorons and Cesar Garcia, the 2 Spanish players, but they've got more than 35 big blinds each.
It's the bright side of things, I guess.
More than 35 bigs, perfectly playable. Blinds, by the way, are 20 and 40,000 with a 5k ante. Action has been folded around to Cesar Garcia. King 7 off. He'll muck that. Pratush Bodiga has Queen Jack of clubs.
Big suited connectors.
Raises to 85,000. Mario Puccini folds. Andre Murat has Ace King on the button.
This is an okay spot for a call or a re-raise while in position.
He opts just to call. Andrew Chen gives up his small blind. Davide Katai has Ace 8 in the big blind.
We know Davide's dominated, and a call here would be loose, but he's getting some sweet pot odds.
He calls, which means 3 players are going to the flop. And 2 of those players flop pairs.
Top pair for the S-P-E-L-L-E-R.
Katai checks.
Continuation / value bet coming.
Bodiga makes it 130,000. Murat folds the Ace King.
Davide probably can't fold a pair to just 1 bet, and he's got a backdoor diamond draw.
Katai will call the 130,000. The turn card is another 8. Trips for Katai. He takes the lead.
Sick turn. Now it looks like he's going to lead out. I think sometimes when you do this, you're going to chase out your double barrelers, but in this case, he's betting into a guy who probably has to call.
180,000 is the bet. And Bodiga makes the call.
There are a couple of draws out there now as well.
King of clubs on the river. Almost $1 million in the middle.
Katai has to bet again. Lots of hands are just going to check behind.
He does bet again, 365,000.
This is a relatively small bet, and every draw bricked.
I call.
Budiga calls and gets the bad news.
Budiga lost nearly 40% of his stack on that hand. Should have asked for the country of origin.
Decent turn card.
It's like saying the computer was a decent invention.
Huge pot for Katai. Talk about peaking at exactly the right time. One more elimination and we will have our final table.
Then I'll peak.
Action folded around to Andre Murat. He passes. Andrew Chen with ace-4 will muck. Pocket kings for Katai.
Another decent hand. Somebody's on a heater. Looking at Yordi's big blind over there.
Raise.
Katai makes it 85,000. It's a min plus raise. It's on Yordi in the big blind. He's got a pocket pair, pocket fives.
Ollie.
Wow, he shoves.
Oof.
Snap call.
Not necessary. It was really cheap to just call. Playing such a high variance style at this stage of the tournament is totes not necessary. Dude did 40 bigs.
Wow, great flop for Katai. Yordi has less than 1% equity.
I think you can sit down.
It actually looks like that little symbol is eating his last % of equity.
Consider it eaten. We have our final table. Yordi Riba-Carran's is our 9th place finisher. The final 8 will come back tomorrow to play for the title trophy and €825,000 first prize.
Arriba Carranza Derchi.
Everybody.
He's Spanish.
And I'm American, which means that doesn't mean a thing to me.
A great end to the day for Davide Katai. He'll come into the final as big chip leader with a stack of nearly 5.7 million. The other big stacks belong to Bahadir Kilakeza and Andrew Chen. Pratosh Budiga may regret that hand he played against Katai because he's going to come in as the short stack.
Je me sens très bien d'être chipleader pour la table finale, c'est énorme. Et je pense qu'avec beaucoup de jetons maintenant, je vais pouvoir attaquer la table finale et jouer la gagne. Donc c'est important pour moi. Et voilà, on espère demain que je vais terminer avec la victoire, un titre pété. C'est ce qui me manque dans ma carrière.
Next time, it's the final table of EPT Berlin, with the last 8 players vying for the title and the first prize of €825,000. Davide Katai has World Series and WPT bracelets, but an EPT trophy eludes him.
With the experience I have now, I can play for the title.
Andrew Chen's been here twice before and is hoping it's third time lucky.
Being able to final table this one and perhaps take it down would be great.
But there are 6 others playing for the win.
Win an EPT Berlin would, I mean, it'd be amazing.
Time to find out who has what it takes. Time to crown another EPT champion.